Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Your host Alvaro. We're back in Miami. Actually, a couple hours ago just landed. So very excited to be here with all of you. And today we're going to be bringing another interesting guest. His name is Gary Lipovetsky. And alongside with his wife, Valeria Lipovetsky, they've built Valeria Inc., which they focus on celebritizing and bringing alive bunch of celebrity products. And he's gonna talk about the key elements on how to bring a strong relationship both personally and professionally into fruition, because they've done phenomenal, and I'm very excited to have him with us today. Harry, what's happening, my friend?
Alvaro, how are you, sir? How's it going?
Good. I mean, a bit jet lag, I guess, because I just landed not too long ago from Madrid.
Very cool.
But very happy, very good to be here and to have you in one of our episodes, the 101st episode.
Wow.
Starting the new century.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome. Your page is, your Instagram profile has grown tremendously. So all the best to you.
No, thank you. And I'm very excited to have you here with us today because, you represent what many people will dream of. You have a beautiful relationship.
I'd love to know what you mean.
Great family. Well, what I mean by that is that you're happily married, you have a beautiful family, you're working alongside with your wife, you guys have built a really successful platform and business out of it, and it keeps getting more exciting every day. So tell us a little bit about how did you guys get started?
Yeah, so look, obviously, I'm extremely blessed with, my wife and my kids. So you're absolutely right. In terms of how we got started, the short story is that one day I found a deposit in our bank account, our mutual bank account, our only bank account with myself and my wife. And it was for about $10,000. So I didn't know how it got there. So I asked my wife, I said, do you know where this $10,000 is from? And she said, oh yeah, this moisturizer company sponsored one of my YouTube videos. So I said, and they paid you $10,000? Because I hadn't known really that much. I hadn't known anything about influencer marketing. She said, yeah. She's very nonchalant about it. It wasn't a big deal for her. So I said, can you let me see what you're doing on YouTube? So she showed me. I looked at her Instagram. I kind of had an idea of what she was doing, but I wasn't really following it because to me it was her hobby. So that was her thing. I was doing my thing. And then when I looked at it and I logged in and I took a look at the media, I took a look at some of the metrics because I have a background in online media and online e-commerce and whatnot. And I took a look at it and I said, wow, this is real media. And the fact that someone's willing to pay for it is incredible. Yeah. So kind of the genesis of that was that I said to her, hey, tell me about your day. What do you spend your time doing? And she says, well, I work about 12 hours a day. And, at this point we have 2 kids. I said, okay. And she said, I work 12 hours a day, an hour a day I'm in front of the camera, and 11 hours a day I'm editing. So I asked her, I said, how do you know how to edit? How's that possible? And she said, oh, I just looked it up on YouTube. So I said to her, well, listen, let's hire a videographer full time. They'll work for 8 hours a day, editing video. And then instead of you shooting content and being in front of the camera for an hour a day, you'll be in front of the camera for 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And that way you'll make so much more content and then we can start scaling the business. Fast forward to now, we're at 25 people. 20 people operate the media company, which is Valeria Inc., which supports, all of the content creation and optimization and everything for her audience of about 5.5 million people across 4 platforms. And then we have 5 people on Valerias, which is our new e-commerce venture where we sell women's accessories and clothing. So yeah, that's kind of how it spawned from there.
That's amazing. It's a great story. Just for those that are watching, obviously you can also follow Gary, but check also Valeria's Instagram so that you can see, because I saw some of the comments asking about Valeria's Instagram. And as you said, she has over 5 million followers across all social media platforms. And I think that nowadays influencer marketing is dominating when it comes to the marketing, the organic marketing that we saw previously. How has it been working alongside your wife?
You know what? I have to say it's been a pleasure. So that's probably not what most people expect to hear. They expect to hear that there's a lot of hardship and a lot of confrontation and struggle and disagreement, but there really isn't. From really early on in our relationship, before we got into business together, we have this rule to never raise our voice. So we never escalate conversations. We'll talk about it in a very clear, succinct way. And that seems to have worked. That strategy has seemed to transfer well from our personal life to our business life. One thing I'll tell you is that this is actually something that I can't imagine not having this in common with Valeria. I don't know, like, I think when people are married after a certain amount of time, they kind of run out of stuff to talk about. We never run out of stuff to talk about.
But tell us a little bit, Gary, about the current projects that you have going on.
Valeria Inc., as I mentioned, there's 20 people, and those people range from a two-person team for business development, a two-person team for customer relations. Obviously, our CEO. We have a production manager who manages 3 editors. So, I mean, there's an infrastructure there. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the business, and that business is growing in terms of both the not so much the quantity of sponsors, because with sponsorships, which is the main revenue model there, we're actually doing less and less sponsors, but the quality of the sponsorships are growing, and the average investment by the sponsors are growing as both Valeria becomes more established as an online celebrity, and the industry continues to grow and evolve. And then with Valeria is a lot newer. We just figured we do this for our clients, and they come back to us, and they keep coming back to us to gain access, meaningful access to that meaningful connection to the audience. And, we should do it ourselves. So we've been experimenting with different product categories. We've been creating product. It's been really interesting it's actually really interesting to create product. I've never done that before. And just like iteration on concepts when it comes to like jewelry and clothing and glasses, and just that's all very cool. So those are those 2 projects. Aside from that, I mean, for myself as an individual, I mean, I have another YouTube channel that I don't really talk much about. It's actually in partnership with a different group of people. Valeria is not involved in that. And we have almost 4 million subscribers there on YouTube. Yeah, and it's like a channel about health information, and we do health research. So that's that's a lot of fun too. So I also personally manage our real estate portfolio, which I actually really enjoy doing. That's been an interesting journey. That's been a long journey, and a long and a fun and a risky and a journey with ups and downs.
Here in Miami, anything?
No, I'm saying stock market. So it's not really like, stock market, not real estate. Real estate also, but with the stock market, like when COVID hit, I think, our portfolio took a 70% hit, and I was but I didn't panic sell, and I held on, and obviously the markets have recovered and then some. So a lot of stock market investment. I'm not a big believer in wealth managers, like typical wealth managers who will invest your company into the stock market for you. I feel like I could do a better job myself. And then there's the real estate portfolio. So we have some properties, and we rent them out. So that's that's what we. But I gotta say, my biggest project is my kids. That's just they're at. Do you have kids?
No, but I was just in Spain, and I have 10 nephews and nieces, so I get to see the madness of raising kids.
Our boys are already at that age where, and we have all boys. We have 3 boys, and so our 8-year-old and our 7-year-old. So it's a lot of fun. So we're definitely, between me and Valeria, we're definitely busy around the clock.
What's the one thing that you will suggest people to do to make sure to combine all the areas of their life together?
Man, like stay calm. Because when there's so much going on, and the challenge is, I mean, just to be really frank, I mean, the challenge is that you kind of layer COVID on top of this, because we arrived from Toronto not too long ago, and it was very different there with the lockdowns, and it's just very different when you're trying to do all of the things that I just described while your kids are also in the house and not going to school. Advice that I would give to somebody who would go down this path with being business partners with their spouse, I think the first thing you need to do is understand if your spouse wants to do that too. So I was always, and I continue to always check in with Valeria, like, are you okay with this? Do you want to continue? Because one of the things that, like, I'll push hard, like I'll push hard on all aspects of business related to Valeria, but where I won't cross the line is when it comes to like her mental health, right? So you kind of have to know where that line is. So I guess my advice would be that if you're going to do business with your spouse, you have to remember that the personal relationship and the relationship that, I mean, your relationship is an example for your kids. So if you mess that up, like, business isn't as important as your relationship with your spouse.
To ask you, because obviously the concept of creating content, it has revolutionized the way that marketing is consumed, is the, like the products, the services, everything is consumed nowadays with the content. That's why it's so important that people get used to being in front of the camera and record it in a very genuine and trendy way, right? And you guys have been jumping on all trends, I love it. The TikTok, the Reels, the YouTube.
Thank you.
So because with this concept, right, the celebritizing, which we utilize is for real estate and other luxury brands combined, expanding Valeria Inc. to something like real estate, where you can utilize the public figure status that she has created alongside with you. Is it something that have you thought about?
It's actually funny that you should ask, because about a year ago, I was approached by a friend of mine who was developing a high-rise building in Toronto. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Toronto market, but it's very dynamic. There's a lot of inventory going up in that market. And he had approached me and he asked, can we retain Valeria to basically try to sell the penthouses? It's somewhat outside of what we do. I think that it would be tough to track a direct sale. And that's the thing with influencer marketing, is that you can't look at it as a straight arbitrage, in the sense that if I pay this much to an influencer, what am I doing in revenue?
What's the return on investment? Yeah, it's more of the branding.
It's both. I mean, you will get some tracking. So if you get somebody, let's say if Valeria would have done that, and then somebody's from overseas, like a couple would have come in, and chances are it's the wife that follows Valeria, because her audience is 99% female. And the wife told her husband, hey, we should go take a look at this property because this influencer that I follow was promoting it. It looked great. She did a tour of the property. It looks amazing. So if when they come, let's say, to buy that property and they're asked, how did you find out about it? Then you could potentially track it, back down to it. And then depending on the profitability in that sale, you might say that one sale of a multi-million-dollar condo was worth the campaign, but then all of the other benefit in terms of the branding, in terms of everything that's involved in it, it's part of an overall marketing mix. And one thing is actually interesting that I want to mention is that at the beginning stages, when Valeria's audience was like a couple of 100,000, the types of advertisers that would approach us would be advertisers that are very like, if I'm spending X amount, I need to know I'm going to do this much. ROI, I need to know this much in profit and this, and that's a very, in my opinion, basic way of looking at marketing, right? But I think there's an opportunity for it. I think there's a global opportunity for it.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
That's what we're here for.
And I wanted to mention.
Knowing that you're here in Miami, come on, let's.
Yeah, we should grab lunch. Yeah, we should grab. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, I would say let's grab lunch socially, but if you want to talk about doing something like that, I think it would be great. I don't want to speak for Valeria, because at the end of the day, Valeria decides everything. Of course. But yeah, I think her doing like a really cool tour of a property and have me in there acting kind of goofy and our banter between us, I think it would be a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely something to consider.
Before we let you go, I wanted to ask you, because we always ask this question to all of our guests.
Sure.
Because luxury comes in all different shapes and forms, but what is really luxury to you?
Freedom.
Freedom. There you go.
Yeah, it's freedom. It's the ability to wake up and do whatever I want with who I want. Freedom to drive my sons to school every day. Freedom to pick them up in the middle of the day because I can work from anywhere I want. Freedom to, for example, during COVID, when things were really bad in Toronto and we had all these lockdowns, we were able to go to Costa Rica and we were able to be there for 2.5 months. And, that to me is luxury. That to me is like, that's the best thing that money can buy for me. Now, don't get me wrong. I also like, fine watches and fancy cars and nice homes, but I think freedom overall is the biggest luxury.
Totally. Well, Gary, thank you so much for your time. I want to make sure that everybody please follow Gary, follow Valeria, follow all the different projects they have happening. And it's been a pleasure having you here. I'm sure we'll see each other soon. And anything else you want to say?
I'm taking you up on lunch. There's a few cool spots in South Beach that I've discovered. So I definitely want to take you out to lunch and continue the conversation.
Anytime you want, Gary. Thank you again for everything. Have a good day, okay?
Thank you very much. Have a great day.